Hello, everyone, and thanks for giving us your time today for VR Gamescast. I'm Ian Hamilton in New York, joined by Don Hopper in Missouri, as we discuss what people are playing in VR headsets. We're wearing Quest 3 headsets with last generation meta avatars. We've got hand tracking and built-in microphones, and we've got probably a very chaotic episode overall because we've got Graydon back in the studio.
Yep,
And
I'm
then
here.
Beck out there broadcasting, not just in Canada, but I believe in Europe, technically speaking. I
We're
don't,
traveling the world today. I mean, we're like hopping from like Missouri and New York to Europe, back to Canada, back to Europe. It's going to be crazy.
yeah, so that's going to cause all sorts of drama and chaos. We hope you're used to that here on our studio broadcasts here from the UploadVR studios. I want to say thank you to our UploadVR patrons for helping us expand our coverage. That's Mike Manzano, HoloNet, Podum, that's developer of Smash Drums, and XR Developer News. Don, what do we have today?
Well, Ian, it was a pretty light week on the news last week with the holiday here in the U.S., but we still have some great topics to cover today. So I think we start off the show today by talking about a new mod that just dropped for Halo. And then we discuss two new games coming to Quest Plus this month. And after that, I think we dive into the subject of age verification finally coming to VRChat. And if more social VR platforms need something like this. And then once we're done with that discussion, I think it's time to talk about another delay that just hit us with Aces of Thunder now being pushed back to 2025, which ties into another subject that I know has been top of mind for us this week and a lot of other press outlets and content creators, and that is where are the Behemoth review keys, which we did just get 30 minutes before the show started. So we finally have our Behemoth review key and we can get started on that. And then after that, I think we will talk about one of my long-running favorite mixed reality apps and one I know you've been spending a lot of time in lately in your Vision Pro, and that's Figmin XR. And then, of course, we should close out the show today with a reminder about our showcase that's coming up on Thursday. So, Ian, what'd you think about Halo getting a VR mod and the fact that we can play it in VR now?
Yeah, this is a big one, a long time coming. This is a whole category of shooter that is going to be that everyone has wanted in VR that now is playable in VR, right? I remember going back years, there were even people that, at least with Halo in particular, got some of that sim sickness feeling just watching a super wide field of view on a big giant screen to play that game. It could stimulate the same sort of feeling of unease that VR causes. And now it's actually playable in VR. There's a lot of movement in that game. And I love it. And all these other games that we've got in this category, Don, we bring it up every time. Tomb Raider and all the work that's being done with different movement styles in that game. A lot of those ideas of like changing from first person to third person could be usable in lots of other places. And I can't wait to see automatic vignetting make its way across
That'd be interesting.
all of the different systems. Like automatic vignetting will make movement like in a game like Halo feel a lot more feel a lot better. I want to talk about our comments. We've got live comments today. We were not doing live recently with last VR download for Black Friday, so we missed all the commenters out there. So it's great to have some of our people in here for VR Gamescast. I keep thinking about Thursday and everything that's coming out. There is so much prepped, and this is such a big. I think we timed that we picked a good time for the showcase because everyone is wanting to kind of get all their ducks in a row for the Christmas holiday season here, software wise, and you've been playing a bunch of stuff. We've just got codes for a bunch of stuff. It is an intense time for us.
It is. Yeah, December is always a busy month. And, like you said, I mean, with our showcase coming up, I kind of always, even before I was with Upload, I always considered showcases kind of like the kickoff of my VR gaming holiday season. This is going to show me all the games that are coming up that I want to plan for, things that are coming out next year, things that I might be able to snag here in December. So, I know we're going to talk about it at the end of the show a little bit more, but definitely if you're out there there, be ready on Thursday. There's so much dropping. You got the Behemoth review embargo lifting. Obviously, we're probably not going to have a review in time for that, but we do have a backup plan. I'm thinking that might be our Friday game stream this week, a little live first impressions of the game, and then we can get into our full review of it. But I mean, just so much is all converging to Thursday, so just a great day. But don't miss the showcase. You definitely want to see everything that we've got coming up.
Yeah, so last on this bit, yes, this was the original Halo 1,
Yes.
now playable in
Well,
VR, and I want to move on here to the rest of this because I'm excited to talk about some of those last
oh
subjects.
God, yeah,
Figmin
no, I am
XR is
too.
going to be such a
The
big
only thing I
subject.
wanted to, and I'm glad you brought up that this is the original Halo 1, because there is one thing that I did see in the article that, I don't know, with these mods kind of becomes a gray area. And that's the fact that you can't get the original Halo outside of physical media. So it is like, at that point, you can still find copies on eBay, but you actually have to buy the disc for this one. Or you have to do the thing that we do not condone you ever doing, because that hurts developers,
Yeah.
but it brings up that area of like, I love the fact that like Dr. Beef and Team Beef, when they put out the Tomb Raider port, you at least still get, like in a lot of their mods, you still get the demo, or like whatever like demo level was available, like the Quake and Doom mods. You can play like the first 45 minutes. I know the Prey mod has the first entire mission of the game where you get to go up to the ship. So developers, if we are going to mod games that would require physical copies, like if we're going to go that far back in the Wayback Machine, if you can't get those digitally, that's something you might want to think about. If there was a demo, just including some sort of content that doesn't encourage people to have to go and try to pirate this really old game.
Yeah, it's really tough when some of those games aren't available anywhere for purchase. And where do you find the source material for
Exactly.
an impressive VR mod at this point? I can understand. Yeah, I can understand there being a robust argument there from different people on the internet. People talking about Walkabout Course. So already scheduled on our channel.
Yes.
We have the Holiday Hideaway Course Tour with Lucas Martel and Don Carson. So Don Carson's a former Imagineer who, as I understand it, I think I could be misconstruing this story, but basically wrote to Mighty Coconut as a fan and said a lot of what you're doing is similar to placemaking at like a Disney ride, and ended up coming in and I think talking to the team and then joined the team. And from about the Captain Nemo 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea course up through this latest Holiday Hideaway course, you can see a lot of his storytelling influence on the game. He's given several of these tours that we've done in the last couple of years, and you find that whole playlist out there giving a design history. And if you go into it, you can see Don in there giving us the Captain Nemo one, and then he's there with the creator of Walkabout giving us the latest one. That should be timed to when it's out on all systems. Highly recommend you go play it. It is really, really, really cool. But check that out at Embargo tomorrow. And then right after that, I've got scheduled an interview with Zach, the creator of Vertigo 2. So we had him in the studio, and unfortunately, we also had Gray Zach. So
yes, he was also gray.
Yeah, he looks just like Don does here when he appears on our studio for a 25-minute discussion. Covered a lot of interesting subjects with him. I asked him what he thought about AI tools. This is a developer who started developing when he was 13 years old. He's 24 years old now. He's made a tentpole PC VR game in Vertigo 2. That was Game of the Year for us. Incredible game. and he does it all himself.
I know
It's like
it's a
it's a one-man show
how.
there doing everything. In fact, I had him send me a photo of his workspace
Yes.
because I wondered what his workspace was like, and so I added that over there, so you can see that in that interview, and just for a second of what the creator of Vertigo 2, what his actual workspace looks like. So very cool to have him in the studio. So we've got those lined up right before we get into the showcase. And we'll have nonstop, we'll have headlines on everything major on UploadVR.com as soon as it appears. I believe there's a bunch of really cool trailers. Some of my favorite things will all be like there's a grouping of them early in the event, and so I want to encourage you to check out that stuff. We've had return folks multiple times to our showcases, and just want to say thank you to the people that are sort of growing up and changing right before our very eyes. Like it's amazing to see the software start as what placeholder graphics and then get shined over time. And
Oh God,
when you
it
get
is.
to see Holiday Hideaway yourselves, you're going to see some of that progress in just artistry brought to bear here. And then Vertigo 2, this independent developer doing so much beautiful art out there independently. It's just a beautiful story. So we thank everyone for trusting us with some of their announcements. We've got a bunch of headlines coming throughout the day. Hopefully there won't be any technical glitches, but that happens a lot with the way we do things. So sorry if that happens in
It
advance.
is, and it looks like we are having some audio breakup. And if we are, again, if you're just joining the stream, today's stream is a little different, with Beck being at the AIXR Awards in Netherlands right now. So I mean, our streams are going all over the world and bouncing all over the place. So please bear with us if we do have some audio issues today. But I gotta tack on, Ian. I gotta say, I've been watching Zach's journey since he started putting stuff out, and it is an amazing journey. And I've seen the footage that obviously I've seen it, and I can't wait for you guys too. This is a wonderful interview. You are really going to be blown away by what you see.
Yeah,
So
and then yeah, stay tuned for the showcase. Watch
yes,
these new things, and I've gotta also preface it, right. Like if you don't like something, just keep your mouth shut. I mean, that's the easiest thing, right? Like these are people. We don't do that at review time, right? We say what's on our mind, what
hmm
was actually at uh from a finished product. But at these times, we've got a lot of people that are trying out ideas, trying to show out, trying to get their work out in front of people. So if you see something that's a little bit more basic, maybe it's out of your style, you don't need to rip it apart. And I'd love to see positivity out there
absolutely
for these devs that are trying their best
lift them up.
with early ideas. And honestly, it's really hard to pick through some of these trailers, right? Like there's people that are doing all sorts of weird things with their trailers. There's AI generations; those are hard to spot sometimes. And we try to keep as much as we can out, but
Oh yeah,
it's still we're also trying to cast a wide net and let people of all sorts get into the showcase. But that's why we kind of put an extra spotlight on people like Walkabout Mini Golf and Vertigo 2, because we know that they're just known for doing standout work in this space. And if we give them a little bit more time to focus and show off some of what they're doing. So
absolutely.
anything in the comments we want to respond
Yeah,
to?
just looking. Looks like Al are having some like genealogy discussions here, and I do think Life Capture. He says he finished Vertigo when he was just 20. That's even more impressive. It is. I obviously I started computing when computing started. I got my very first computer and I sat there and wrote little codes in BASIC. And I had this cool little game that I made called Super Star Wars, which was not Super Star Wars for Nintendo. But, you saw this like circle and it got closer. And then you like went into the little Death Star and it was all line graphics. But it, it, it never, ever occurred to me that if I stuck with it, I could ever do something as amazing as what Zach had done here, because, well, it was a different time and age. But it's just playing Vertigo 2 is like I constantly go back to that game because
Hmm.
every time I replay it, I find something even more amazing than I missed the first time.
Yeah.
So if you have not played Vertigo 2, I'm just going to tell you straight up, it is in my top 10. Go play it. It
Yeah.
is definitely one that you want to experience.
One of
So,
those games that makes a case for PC as a platform, and then
oh
it's
yeah,
also on PlayStation as well.
oh
So
yeah,
incredible
yeah.
game. And when you like, that's the flip side of that is like, the reason I make that call for positivity here is like these are individuals. The teams behind VR games are really small,
Oh God,
right?
tiny.
Like, and if the smaller, the more beautiful it is in some ways because of just how much hard work and love had to be poured in from a single person.
Well, we see it all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
Raphael with Airspace Defender, and I mean, now Zag. I mean, with Vertigo
Even
2.
you could even argue Figmin XR when we get
Figment,
later in
yes,
the show
Javier,
is
yeah.
another the work of one person just sort of pouring their soul into a project. And I want to raise up that sort of thing that's happening in VR. There's lots and lots of projects out there that don't keep you going for hours and hours like a traditional game does, but they can still leave a major, major impact. All right, we've got
Real quick, I want to respond. Odds are no, I did it on and this is actually funny. I learned this in my marketing class back in college. I did it on the most wildly failed advertised computer ever, and that was the IBM PC Junior. So, yes, but it had the first wireless keyboard, so at least it had that. So, all right, I think now is probably a good time to segment. So, we were talking about new things, and one game that was kind of new for its time was, I Expect You to Die too, and that was Peanut Button bringing a first-person point-and-click adventure to VR, and now we just found out that and one of my favorite third person games of all time in VR are both coming to MetaQuest Plus this month. So, if you are a MetaQuest Plus subscriber, you are actually going to get Moss and I Expect You to Die added to your catalog this month. And those are two games that if you have skipped on up until now, take the time, play them. These are both amazing titles.
I Expect You to Die too, I think, right?
I
Not the
Expect You to
first
Die
one.
too. Yes, sorry.
And
Yes.
there's three of those games, and they're all just brilliant works of art again. And but
And
it's
and I'm
like,
sorry. I
sorry, go
real quick,
ahead.
I need to make a correction. I said Peanut Button, and I was thinking of Retropolis, not art. Yeah. So my bad. I Expect You to Die too is not from Peanut Button and not a person point and click. So
Oh yeah, so sorry, yeah, that's so I Expect You to Die would be from Shell Games,
Shell
and
Games. Yes. Yeah.
they're
That is my bad.
incredible developers, very big studio in the space. And those games, you sit down and just die again and again and
Oh God, I
again and
love them.
slowly unlock the puzzle. It can be enormously frustrating, but enormously
Well, I'll
satisfying
never
too as
never
you get
forget
through them.
playing the original demo for I Expect You to Die from Oculus Share. I mean, just the one little room, and it was amazing. That was the first game I think I ever remember using telegrab, where I could like grab things from across the room and pull them to me. So
So CJ says that we need to keep Great on because they've grown used to you, and now you're a place of safety to them. Devin
right.
Bigelow saying, "I wish MetaQuest Plus would give some kind of store credit or something if you already owned one or both games. I've redeemed maybe three games total since the service launched."
Okay.
Ryan is saying that both of these, Moss and I Expect to Die, are amazing games. Moss 1, 2 need to be experienced by everyone.
Oh, everyone.
Yeah,
Everyone.
that's a real proof of the third person genre there. And I Expect You to Die. I love the distance transport, like the way you grab
Hmm.
things across the room in those
Yeah.
games.
Oh, do I loved it. But I got to say, David Bigelow, yeah, I agree with that. Like, if you are a Quest Plus subscriber and you are just getting those two titles a month added, if you already have the titles, I don't know. That's like it's a gray area. One thing it doesn't get talked about a lot very much anymore, but like Viveport Infinity, I always found that to be more like the Netflix of VR gaming, because it wasn't just, hey, here's a couple of titles that you can play every month. It was, hey, here's a catalog, here's our back catalog. Just go. The store's open.
Yeah, they would always, it was PC focused was like when they made their
Yes.
big push, and they
Yeah.
really needed to make that push when they got standalone.
Hmm.
And yeah, but I did always think that was what they were trying for. But I don't know
But
if anybody uses it out there. Speak up for Vive and 5 port and
yeah,
the subscription out there in the
just
comments.
curious to see if anybody's still using it. I know I haven't logged in a long time, but I always thought it was great that, for new users, I mean, when you really want to start going down rabbit holes and trying different types of VR and, different types of experiences, well, it's nice to have that Netflix-ish style catalog that you can just kind of jump into and jump in and out of games until you find what really suits your play style best.
So let's move on to the next subject here. We are ready to talk about VRChat's
Yeah.
plans for age verification. This is a long time um, on the way. A lot of people have been asking for this feature. We tried to set up, or I tried to set up over on Steam using VRChat
Hmm.
a group
Yeah.
only for UploadVR members, so we could hand it out to people who are on YouTube or hand it out to people who are on our membership on the website, and get them into a group that's just other members of this community, people who are already in our comments. And uh, it became really difficult to do, and there was no real benefit. And
Mm,
also there was the need for age verification. Like, it would have been nice because that's who we chat with every week, it
exactly.
seems. I don't see a whole lot of we occasionally get the newbie question out there in the comments from someone who might be getting their new headset for the first time. But most of these people out there that I see in the comments are wanting to keep the screaming kids out of their groups and out of their play sessions. And this is VRChat finally making that move. So VRChat says that they're partnering with a group called Persona
Yep.
for a third-party verification system. Going to require a government ID as well as a phone or computer with a camera for this process. And then age-verified users can opt in to have a verified 18 plus badge added to their profile. And yeah, there's a video out there where they're basically walking people through
Yeah.
that this is an early access system that's only going to be rolled out to some groups, and they're making it optional, sort of, whether you call this out on your profile or not. Yeah, let's see. Are the people in the comments agreeing?
To a point, yeah, yeah. I mean, Sig Regent said, yes, 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 I want age verification. Awesome, good news. It's free real estate is saying. So, I got to say, it's needed for a long time. And we've discussed this quite a few times on this. And it's not just VR chat. It is, and I kind of put in our notes, that this was a better topic of discussion is, do we need this across the board, in all social VR spaces? Because I'm at the point where I can't go into Horizon. I can't go into most of these social VR spaces anymore without constantly being berated by some kid running up in my face and just screaming obscenities and random stuff. That it's like, if you're going to scream obscenities, okay, make them good. Don't just start screaming out random curse words. It's like, at least put some thought into it, folks. So yes, I am happy that we are finally going to get age controls in VR chat. And I really hope that that filters down to all of the other social platforms. Now, I do agree though, and if you look at the comments on our article, there are a lot of people that are having privacy concerns over this because of the fact that they are using a third-party verification system that will require your full ID to be uploaded, and things like that. So what if they get hacked? What if, I mean, and it's a common occurrence every day in the world now. So many people have your I'm about to have to plug in. So many
That's
people.
what was happening to me.
Yeah,
So
I
when
was
you
gonna
saw me
say.
do dancing, that's because I was going down on the floor and getting my battery
Yeah.
and plugs lined
Yeah.
up. I'm down to 15%. Where
I'm down to
we're
20%, so I may have to run into the other room and get a battery. But anyway, finishing my train of thought, it is something that is needed. Now, does that mean that we're going to see adult content coming to VR chat? It's possible. It depends on how VR chat as a platform wants to moderate that aspect of it. But I think for me, what I'm most excited about is that we will finally have the ability to go into specific worlds and specific instances that are only restricted to 18 and over. And they like, one of the examples in the article was some of the bars in VRChat. So it's like you have these bar spaces, and they're cool to hang out in and talk to friends and
Yeah.
simulate having a drink together. And
Davin's pointing out what I was going to bring up, Don, and that's that this is already there. It's not coming to VRChat. This stuff is there, and now it's getting walled off. Is I
well, that's
guess
yeah,
the the
okay,
the,
yeah.
the age verification part, like, and I think that's Davin. Like, I appreciate Davin pushing back on this because I want to push back on it too. That what happens when this changes the culture of VR chat significantly? Like, I
I could see
think
it.
I can imagine that more people want to use this and never speak to a kid online than these platforms have really enabled in the past, right? Like, this is something a lot of people have been asking for a really long time, to not hear those screaming people. And now we've got a way to do that. How many people are going to flip that feature on and only attend worlds that keep those people from sort of screaming in your face?
David has another good point here. People will mistake adult only spaces as being adult content spaces and not realize both are not the same thing. And I could see that
Yeah,
happening.
very,
You see it
yeah,
marked as adult 18 plus, you're going to think immediately, oh, well, I don't know if I want to go in there.
yeah,
So,
that's a good point. Yeah, and it's a
you know,
very, very
so
like
it's not a
meaningful.
perfect system, but at
Yeah,
least it's something. I mean, at least
yeah.
it's a step in my opinion, a step in the right direction, maybe minus some of the third party stuff. But
Well, this is a very early in the process sort of thing for your chat. We'll see how it evolves, see how it ends up in full release. They said that they can't, because there's cost associated with it, that they can't release it to everyone
yeah,
immediately. So we'll see what happens there. And yeah, I really do appreciate our commenters sort of teasing apart the difference between adult only spaces and like adult only content, and the differences there. Um, Let's see. Are
and
we
we all
ready to
love
talk about the
squeakers. No,
delay?
no, Arlen, we don't all love squeakers. But I now I really quick, I just want to back in on this though because of some of those contents. I don't mind kids being in social VR. In fact, I encourage them, because I want them to be able to play in those sandboxes and have fun. What I mind is when they just feel the need to be crude and obnoxious
Well,
and just up in your face. It's
the voice chat is a big barrier
yeah,
here, and the typical mode of play that I've seen, I don't know, play out amongst teens of this gen is you do a voice chat to your friends, and
hmm
you do a voice chat. You do a Discord chat, you do a FaceTime call, you do a Google Meet, I guess, if that's what your group is on. But you do a voice call just to the other people in your particular game group, and then you've got voice chat off for all the strangers out there.
yeah.
And like, that's still the way I would recommend most people have their settings for a couple of years there. But I don't. Yeah, I understand people who think other
I
ways
get it.
about it, but that's like the safest way, is to no voice chat on a lot of those settings. Protects and stops a lot. I loved there was a setting in, what was the game? Normal VR had a really interesting collection of mini games. You could go into a room, and they had a voice changer and wiggly arms in there.
Okay.
So the voice, anything, whatever you would say, it would come out as it would be like the one of the Muppet characters.
Okay.
And it worked really well for sort of leveling the playing field here. All right, I want to talk about this next subject,
Yeah.
Don, and then get to the last
Yeah, this
Figment
one will
XR
speed
segment.
through. I mean, it's just another delay. Obviously, we've been seeing a lot of games get delayed here in the back half of the year. And the latest one that we just reported on is Aces of Thunder on PlayStation 2, VR, VR2, and Steam now being delayed into 2025. Now, if you're not familiar with it, Aces of Thunder it's an upcoming flight simulation from the studio Gaijin, Gaijin. I'm always bad with the pronunciation, so if I butchered that, I apologize. But Gaijin Entertainment, and they previously brought us War Thunder. War Thunder being one of the first flight simulators that I can remember back in the day adding VR support, and has been wildly popular with the community ever since. So they previously targeted a Q4 2024 release, as many of the games that we have seen delayed recently have, and have now decided to push that back for what they're saying is slightly postponed into 2025. So you guys know I love flight simulators. This was definitely one that was on my radar. So I will be following up on it, and as soon as we can get coverage of it, we will. I can't wait to climb back into those new cockpits.
Yeah, so Admiral Snackbar is saying it's Gaijin.
Gaijin. Okay, Gaijin. Okay, thank you.
And yeah, people are still closing off that last subject of remembering the old school chat rooms where it was all text. And remembering, that's the other thing that people always bring up is there's always been issues in every online social network. So what exactly is new here? So this delay, and we need to move right on to the next sort of subject because I see it as heavily related.
Well, that's why I put them together. It ties in. So
yeah, so Behemoth review codes have just come in, and I'm waiting to see whether we can actually download the Quest version to evaluate that one, because that would be the one that is likeliest to suffer in the porting process.
That's what I'm thinking
on every system. We've also got codes for it on PSVR 2, so we'll have a look at it on there. And we're waiting to see what's going on with PCVR. They right before that we got these codes, they basically told us they had a cascading hardware failure. That led to problems with their QA process, their quality assurance process, and getting Behemoth across the finish line. And the thing that we just put out in an article that we have to repeat here is they said that there's going to be a patch within 7 days on Quest.
And day one on PSVR 2.
Yeah, a day one PSVR 2 patch. But even with or without those patches, we don't know what state the game is in. At launch, we're not going to be able to provide that until embargo lift on Thursday. So look at UploadVR.com for what we can say about the sort of shipping status of Behemoth. This is feeling like one I'm going to have to tell people to wait for that.
I'm going to say
before you purchase.
I haven't even seen it, and I'm probably going to say, with the fact that they're telling us it is going to release on time, but hey, it's getting a patch day one on one system, day 7 on another system. That to me is a little worrisome. So at that point, I'm like, you might want to wait until those initial patches come out. But we will be playing. I'm going to immediately, we got those keys. I'm saying, like, the minute this Gamescast is over, I am jumping in at least on PSVR 2, to start kind of getting some impressions of the game. I want to try to do some sort of a graphics comparison. We'll have a lot of that coverage coming out over the next week or two as Behemoth drops. So
so if you're not a regular viewer of the Gamescast yet, now would be a good time, because we're going to definitely have that guidance for you by next week. And that would be a great time to get into it with Dawn as we recap everything from the showcase. But what you're saying, Siegfried, out there, so I should not get this game until the patch comes out. I think that's going to be best here is just wait a little bit here and see how it's holding up. And honestly, I would hold off on purchasing until we actually have real hands-on impressions of the final shipped version of this game. I tried this 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago at a launch party event in New York, and they had the full game running on 4 PS5s down in one area. They also had the build that was months earlier that Henry had written up for our hands-on article upstairs. I didn't want to see that build because it was old and we had already seen it months earlier. So I went and tried the full build of the game on the PSVR 2s downstairs, and I stood there for an hour while the poor dev was rewinding the release from whatever version they wanted to show me to an earlier version of the game into the PS5 system that was there. Put the PSVR 2, and I played that version of the game for about 45 minutes, and there were missing animations, missing walls. It was a lot of jank, but that was old even then, and that's a month ago or a month or two old in development terms can be an enormous amount if you're in bug fixing mode trying to finish off a game. The context to bring up here is Alien Isolation is still out there,
Okay.
holding down a end of December release date on a couple systems, even though they've had to move the Quest release out into next year. But I've got hopefully our audience responds to the sort of wait and see approach here with Behemoth, but I think that's I was laughing all along here. They gave me a comic book at that launch party, so I've got basically a comic book lore thing of Behemoth, and I was laughing to myself, imagining coming onto stream with all of you and just broadcasting my view on launch day for Behemoth, and we could all read the comic book together, and you could
that
get
would
the
be amazing.
lore of Behemoth from the comic book, and that could be your way of experiencing
Yeah.
Behemoth on launch day.
Well, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. You fuzzed out and then the studio went black and I lost battery. So I had to plug in, but I think we're all back now. But yeah, and I think we were talking a little bit before the stream with the late keys and everything. We're still finalizing that plan, but we may stream Behemoth on Friday for the game stream. So.
Well, look who just showed up into the comments. We've got Figmin
Hey,
XR
Figmin.
in our comments today, and that was just as we were about
Perfect
to get
timing.
to the Figmin
Yeah,
XR
that is-
segment. Beck, I can't hear Beck anymore. I don't know if
I
you can
can't
hear
either.
Beck, but Beck, were you able to get the 5-minute video of Figmin XR downloaded so that we could show that in the background as we get into this? Because this is now a party. Now that we've got Don here, who's been a big fan of Figmin XR,
Mhm.
and we've got Figmin XR represented in our live comments here. So I am super psyched to get into this. Were you able to hear from Beck? Are we showing the
I
video?
can't hear
have no
back.
idea.
I don't know. I think I just think we muster
We
forth
hope.
and hope that this blue screen back
We could
behind
look for
us.
feedback in the comments. Let us know if you're actually
Yes.
able to
Please
see
let us know.
some video
Because
playing
it's a
of
cool
Figmin
video.
XR. This was breakthrough. This was a breakthrough for me.
God.
This is not just what you're seeing up here on the screen, but not even just the colocation. The interface that Javier has built with eye tracking into Figmin XR. It feels like this is what he's been building for this whole time. It belongs on Apple Vision Pro. It feels at home on Apple Vision Pro.
Oh,
it's incredible.
This is the first time I'm jealous, like that you're getting to see this on Vision Pro and I don't have one, so I can't experience it that way because, yeah, it is. Wow. I've seen this on so many systems now. I mean, in real light, Quest 3. I think I even saw a little quick brief demo of it on Tilt 5. But Vision Pro with the eye tracking, I mean, you're just making me salivate with that.
Yeah, Figmin XR saying that Vision Pro is definitely the ultimate Figmin XR experience. Yes, everything is a little crisper in there. I went in and put on. So what you're seeing in this video, the remarkable thing that is in it. We can talk about the UI for a while because there's so much going on with the user interface in Figmin that is just magical. But aside from that, colocation. So the way this works is he's got a marker. Javier Davalos, the creator of Figmin XR, has a marker that you place down on the floor. It's purple. It's floating about yay high, about 3 feet above the ground. And then on the ground down below that, there's a line going down to it. There's a blue marker that just says floor, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And you put that marker down on the floor. You have the purple handle thing that you're grabbing here above it, and you get into the right position. on one headset, and then you tell the person in the other headset to go grab their little marker and put it in the exact same spot, facing the exact same direction. And it took us about 3 or 4 times, me and my son playing with this setup on a Quest 3, me and Vision Pro, to get it locked in. Like the first time it wasn't super locked in. Second time we got it more locked in, and by the third or fourth time we were setting this up, he was m- just syncing it up millimeter by
Nice.
millimeter, so it was perfect. And this is magic. It's absolute magic. We've waited years for this.
Oh
Like,
God,
I
yes.
know Javier has been building Figmin for so long. These features have been there for so long. But to have my kid in a Quest, have me in Vision Pro, and have him load up a scene, build a voxel, start painting with tilt brush right in front of me, pull objects into the room, hand objects back and forth to one another, right? Handing
I
objects
know.
back and forth to one another, right?
It's
Like,
mind blowing.
it's like, how many years have we waited for that?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
it's beautiful.
in your own space too. I mean, obviously we've been able to hand objects back and forth in VR games. Like I could pass you a gun clip or something like that. But just having that, like I'm in my living room with my kid, like you're talking about, and we made something together, and he's passing it to me, and I'm taking it from him, or my in my case my daughter's. But it's a magical feeling. It is like being in the biggest playground sandbox that you could imagine in mixed reality. And I don't know if you've gone this far, but one thing that I learned early on, if you have Figmin and you really want to see some really cool bottles, now obviously you can make voxels yourself and things like that, go sign up for a free Sketchfab account. Okay, once you have a Sketchfab account, I have found that to be endless hours of fun just downloading free models. Find your fandom. I mean, you guys know I'm a Star Trek fan, so as you saw in my little video from the mixed reality list, I had Seven of Nines and Picards and interfaces and Voyagers flying in my ceilings. And I mean, it is just, you can literally turn your living space into anything you want it to be with this. I've played mini golf in my living room. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah. So one of the videos, I don't know if I have it in this clip, the video I got up there here, but my kid is obviously in the Quest 3, and he has gone back and forth between hand tracking and controller tracking.
Yeah.
He's just, but over the course of hours here over the Thanksgiving holiday, he was just getting fluid with the menu systems and how to get through both. But he makes two of these swords that are
I
like
saw him.
tilt brush audio reactive swords, and he's got them floating out in front of him. And I'm like, can you go grab your controllers? And he grabs his controllers and he's manipulating them across the room, right? Like you've got the ray coming out of the controller, going to the handle of the
Uh-huh.
thing, and he's waving those around like they're puppets or separated from him. I'm like, no, release the grip of your controller, put it into the handle of the sword, close the grip, and he instantly locks in. I
Oh,
watch
nice.
him lock the sword into the room, and
Nice.
he's like, oh, whoa, boom, and he grabs the other sword, and now he's dual wielding swords that look to me in my Vision Pro exactly as if they're locked in. There was a little bit of fast motion
Yeah.
latency, but still, it was incredible how well this was locked in. Absolute magic. Uh,
Well, and
yeah, it's a breakthrough moment
yeah,
for VR.
and you're talking about it being locked in, and I will say, and I don't know what magic he's got going on in this app, but it is one of the few mixed reality apps on Quest that I don't see drift in, and I don't see things jumping around. So I don't know, it is just it's a magical feeling. And you were talking about the hand tracking. This was the first time I ever saw, and I don't think I've ever actually said that publicly. This is the first time Figment XR was the first time I ever saw hand tracking in augmented reality, and it blew my mind.
So Siegfried says this looks a lot like Tilt Brush. It is
It
Tilt
is Tilt
Brush.
Brush.
That is
Yeah.
part of the beauty here. So I went in there and I've spent hours at this point across. One of the things I did in Figmin, I went to bed. I got in bed, laid the Vision Pro has the soft strap at the back, and I pulled the voxel editor right here, and I turned off the
Mm-hmm.
lights, complete darkness,
Yeah.
and I was using this precision voxel editor to precisely pick out all these little scenes in complete darkness, and it really felt like the user interface that we were always promised. Like a lot
Yeah.
of
Kind of.
like we've seen these ideas of like it's better, it's easier with a mouse and keyboard is still going to be true
Yeah.
for so many artists out there. And I'm not like, if you go look at tilt brush art, there's a very specific look to tilt brush art. Like it doesn't look like what a gravity sketch art like, and it doesn't like
Mm-mm.
art that's been
No.
processed in multiple layers going forward. But there's still yeah, so tilt brush is one of the, so Google open source tilt brush to answer that question, and then Javier looked through the code, ingested it in there, and one of several of the tools you can go and build and bring into this playground is a voxel editor, where you can go and mess with voxels in that cube
Mm-hmm.
and paint or carve and sculpt, or go into a tilt brush sketch, and you've got all of the paint brushes there, and you can even open tilt brush files from back in the day. And so
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, there's import export
Ooh.
in the menu system there, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Figmin XR out there. But in addition to all of this, I mean, like I've got to, all right, so I've explained the co-location. I think
Mm-hmm.
I got it across to our audience how magical it is. You can see it in the video here of handing objects, resizing them over. But now I got to talk about this UI. And Javier was like, we've been in communication. He's been telling me tips and getting me acquainted with the UI again. But he's like, you can just look at the buttons too, look at the interface too, in
Yeah.
addition to not reaching out and touching it. So with most of his system, there's like three ways you can interact with things. You can like point a little ray off of your hand and then pinch
Mm-hmm.
to select things, or you can bring things over and direct press the buttons like a keyboard on a mouse, like on a physical keyboard. So actually push your fingers through this keyboard in midair. And those are the ways you can also grip things to move them around in space. That was the
Mm-hmm.
other big movement I didn't understand. You've got pinch to select things and also this grip action. Um, and then on Vision Pro, you bring over that keyboard and have it just sit right there, and you look at all the keys and pinch right down here, and it will get all of the keys without even
Oh, that
interacting
is
with
so
the
cool.
keyboard. So the keyboard's just floating there, and I'm going STARTREK and search for Star Trek uh, items or scenes to add to my
Yeah.
scene. Very, very quickly, my son was going through the Figment database and grabbing objects to add to our own personal little
Mm-hmm.
collection, our own little file system on our own Figment account, and pulling all these. Like first we built planets that were very
Mm-hmm.
simple, and then we found the models of Jupiter and or at least Mars that had been out there. We added those to our scene, and just Don, like you've had this
Mm-hmm.
experience too, and now but it's just, you said you just got to see it in AR, Don. You also, if you got to see it in AR, you didn't get to see the field of view in those systems.
No, no, no. The first time okay, so like I wear this as a badge of honor, and I've said it before, and Javier has also publicly said it. I was the very first person to ever review Figment on any system, and I did it on in real light, and of course, yes, the field of view was horrid. I mean, it was like 46 degrees, I think, on in real light. So it is like, yeah, you're just looking at all these beautiful, mixed reality creations through this little window. But what I was talking about was, it was the first time I reached forward with my hands in those glasses and actually saw the old wire mesh of my hands, so to speak. And it was like, whoa, I'm not in a VR headset, and I just saw hand tracking for the first time. So it was just, that in itself was a magical experience. But I couldn't imagine going back and doing Figment now on anything other than Quest 3 or Vision Pro. And what really blows me away is that instinctively, intuitively thought, hey, let's turn on my Vision Pro and my Quest 3 and see if these two things will work together. Because this is the first time I've ever heard or seen anybody talking about a co-located experience between those two headsets.
Yeah, so yes, this is in closed beta on Vision Pro, and I made a beeline straight for this. And honestly, like it felt like all the time that I spent in the app is because the co-location was there. Like I
Yeah.
really have spent a significant amount of time in just a couple days with a game with an application that our audience has watched grow, that they've been yearning for coverage from UploadVR, I think, over the time. Like I've seen your tweets, we've
Yeah.
interacted. We've wanted to cover you over time, right?
Oh,
Like
God,
we've
yes.
we've seen them and what they're building for a long time. But it's always like, when is the right time? What is the right
Yeah.
platform? And I talked to Javier. I've got an interview down in our article. Go check it out. With just a short little interview, he sat here in the studio for another one of these talks, and he'd walk through this journey, and that's what it's like. I can't get this across. He built for HoloLens 1 and 2, Magically 1 and 2, and those are all limited field of view headsets that were also $3,000
Oh,
and
yeah.
priced in this extreme region where Apple Vision Pro has been called a failure by some because it's priced. And I cannot convey to most people out there who aren't like really embedded in this industry, well, wait a second, on Figmin XR, on an Apple Vision Pro, or a Quest 3, but on Vision Pro in particular, because of how beautiful those displays are, you get your panel right here with reverse and go forward. So backwards and forwards is right here. You have your 4 panel here of the 4 different tools you can get into. Then on your hand, you've got options to pull up. You just press the options button when you're grabbing an object to get to all the really intense things you want to do to objects, like adding physics or motion. That's all in a button on your hand. And then after a couple days of messing with this, I'm feeling like, holy crap, he's done it. Like,
Yeah.
this is what we were promised. This is time to start copying some of these UI ideas in your own apps, because they're that necessary to
Oh,
enjoying
it's
time
gorgeous.
in VR headsets with other people.
Yeah, it is. And not just this. I want to make a pitch for all mixed reality developers out there. If you are going to add multiplayer to your experience, put co-location in it, because co-location is a magical feeling. Being in the same room with another user in a headset, and with Quest 3S being on sale a lot of places right now. I know that there's going to be a lot of people getting that for their Christmas gifts. So we're going to start to see multi-headset households. I mean, that's been coming for a while, and I think now Quest 3S is in the right price range. We're starting to see the younger generation start to take notice of it, as a gaming medium. So I really think that going forward into 2025, we are going to see a lot more multi-headset households. And with multi-headset households comes back the magic of playing games together. And I'm sorry, I love VR, but the one thing I miss about traditional flat screen gaming was having my friends over and just sitting on the dang couch and passing the controller. Pass the mic, bro. Pass the mic. It's my turn. Or just being able to sit there and play that GoldenEye 4-way, or just anything that would just have us commiserating together. Well, VR came along, and a lot of my friends were sad because we didn't do that anymore, because now I wanted to go inside the game. I didn't want to be sitting on the couch anymore, but I wanted them to come with me. Well, they didn't have VR headsets, and multiplayer is kind of a pain in the butt. And it still is to get into a game together. Sometimes there's issues, especially on Meta. So now with mixed reality, with co-location, it kind of brings back that magic of having friends over, having that family game night again, if you have multiple headsets.
Yeah, so I mean, on the front of, so Figmin XR is in their comments saying their whole team is watching. Thank you for tuning in with us today. And thank you for the early access for this particular one. I did through a lot of my Thanksgiving holiday at this app, and it was just a pure joy the entire time. Proving just so much about this space. And I need to convey again, you've got your menu system here, you've got a full 3D scene here that you can
Mm-hmm.
carve and make objects, and then you can resize it, and then
Well,
you unclick a button and boom, it's there in your space being shared with other people. This
well,
is what we were promised, and it feels at home on a VR headset
oh, so
after
at
that
home.
limited field of view of the AR headsets.
Mm-hmm.
It's just pure magic. I love it
No, it
so
is.
much.
Well, and the funny thing is, you mentioned resizing. I wanted to bring that up too. And you mentioned scenes. It's not just mixed reality objects. Like, say you wanted to explore the bridge of the Enterprise. If you can find that download from Sketchfab, and I've done it, literally it downloads as this little tiny room. And you grab it here in midair, and you kind of expand it, and all of a sudden, I literally was standing inside of a virtual reality bridge of a starship, but
Yeah.
I matched it up where my TV was the view screen. And it was just kind of cool. And my couch was
I
where I would sit as the commander's chair,
Yeah,
and
I did the exact same thing with my with one of my setups here. Was like laying
yeah.
I found what Space Oddity on
Yes.
YouTube, and I put that up over my TV, and I had
Hmm.
that running for vibes in the background in Figmin
Hmm.
XR, and it was synced up. I'm like, "Hey, do you see the YouTube video?" And he's like, "Yeah, I see the YouTube video." And it's like, "Holy, why did this take us a decade to get this magic right before our hands?" And I know our audience is all over the board here. There's some people that have been with Figmin, like Don here has been for many years. Other people that have tried it on multiple headsets. We've seen this work grow. We've seen it come home,
Absolutely.
and it's a really shining example of software that ages well with time, with love being thrown into it. I see Roddy out there saying Batman Shadow is the greatest of all time for them. And yeah, I just need to, I
Oh.
want to give Figment its time in the sun here to just
Oh
really
God,
shine a
yeah,
light
no.
on it.
Well, I want to also call out here. We have Midnight Visions in the chat here, who was earlier in the discussion saying that they have created Figment scenes, and that's something I guess we didn't touch on, as well as that there's tons of user created content that you can explore in Figment as well. So if you're not a creator, if you just want to go in and play in the sandbox, don't feel like you have to create the voxels. You have to create your own MR stuff to put in the room. Like I said, get the Sketchfab account, enjoy all of the user created content.
So
Apparently, in the Midnight Visions here, was called out by Javier as having some of the better worlds in there. So, might want to check out some of his creations, or I'm sorry, their creations. I don't want to assume gender, and many others in there. Lots of great tilt brush stuff to explore. So,
yeah, the thing that I noticed that Javier pointed out to me was, I don't think I had Sketchfab logged in on my Quest 3, where it got logged in
oh, okay.
on my Vision Pro. So when I started pulling in Sketchfab objects for the headset that wasn't logged into
Ah,
Sketchfab, they were just showing as a 3D object in space that said the word
oh, that's
Sketchfab on
interesting.
it. So, really necessary segment of that app there is the Sketchfab that would be owned by Unreal Engine at this point. So, a big part of Unreal's push into spatial computing's future is this component of Figment's app, which is some really high quality models you can pull into your space, and yeah, all the starships and stuff. A
Not
lot of
just
things
well, I
are
mean,
over
just
there.
so much. I mean, dancing stormtroopers, and you can pull memes. Like, not even just models. You can literally have like memes posted to your walls, and like memes that are 3D and come to life in your room. I just we could literally we could go into VR download length territory talking about just Figment here. Like, this could be like a 3-hour show in
Oh, sure.
itself.
Well, and that's, I mean, the co-location here is enough to do it. Like I think the co-location is already there in existing platforms. One of the I do have the tilt brush glasses, and I thought about what if I synced up the tilt
Ooh,
brush board to this room sync up feature that he's got there. And then I had people that could just put on a pair of glasses and see a bunch of models down on the floor that are right over the
yeah.
board if I center everything over the board. Uh, and yeah, I'm seeing some people say they use it for prototyping. I brought up Gravity Sketch earlier. That's the tool that's used by Mighty Coconut. They do all of their prototyping in co-located multiplayer VR, actually putting the objects around them into space that eventually becomes the basis of the floor of the board. Um, yeah, and Figmin is saying that I can use Tilt 5 with AVP
Yep.
and Quest 3. Yeah, that is, again, and you can go to the AR headsets and compare. But
A God mode view.
I just, it's magic. It's absolute magic. I'm going to, like, I know I don't go off the deep end praising things this
No,
way
you
very
don't.
often. I reserve it for Walkabout Mini Golf. I reserve it for, Pistol Whip was one of my favorite
Yeah.
games. Like I've got a list of things that I love in VR, and Figment made that list with this release, and it's not even out there yet. Like this is one of the top
Yeah.
experiences for me in VR. I know it was already on your list,
Oh,
Don,
it is.
but now you add on Apple Vision Pro and such like best in class Apple.
Mhm.
I've spent a year, almost, no, better part of a year. The Vision Pro came out February. I've had the headset this entire time, and I've done test flight after test flight after test flight of these apps that have these basic like pane windows as their interface, and then a bunch of objects inside the windows that you can look at and select. And that's their whole interface for their entire app. And then you come into something like this bespoke, built from the ground up interface that they've built, and it's like, oh wait, I actually need to do a little bit of learning here to
Yeah.
understand. Oh, there's arrows connecting these objects, like things that would have been a difficulty in an AR headset. I think, like, correct me if I'm wrong, Javier, but the one of the things he does is if you've got an object here, you've got the panel to control the object over here. So you've got like a menu system related to it. And there's a little line going between the object over here and the panel. And it's this visualization to know these two things are connected. If I change whatever's happening on this panel, it's going to affect this. Well, I think that those lines and that sort of thing would have be a little bit harder to see in AR glasses. Like the transparentness of the display would make seeing that connection a little bit more difficult. But
Yeah.
because I'm in an AR or in a VR headset, and I can even tune out, like I said, work using it in bed, have no environment whatsoever, I'm actually like really interfacing with objects in a like really quickly. Like I'm actually pinching out of this, going in
Hmm.
here. Like it feels like there's a lot of depth to this that is possible if you really, really wanted to dig into it.
So much possibility in this app. Like I said, we could go on and on. I mean, we haven't even scratched the surface. Like in this time that we've been talking about it, we have not even really scratched the surface of what you can do in
Yeah.
Figment.
And a lot of people are discovering it out there in our audience for the first time. If you're there after the show, learning about Figment, go, hit the like button, go check it
Please.
out. Give this app a purchase on whatever platform is your platform of choice. This is a device independent uh, product. And I can't wait to see it actually
Yeah.
release on Apple Vision Pro. I cannot, I just have to restate that it's been a desolate year of software on Apple Vision Pro. There were things like What If, and there's the Apple produced things that are absolutely phenomenal pieces of seeded content. This is software that paid attention to the
Hmm.
way the interface works, paid attention to what precision eye tracking brings, and then figured out how to bring it all together. Direct
Yeah.
input, ray input, eye tracked input. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work. I have
No.
to, I just, go download it. It's now at one of our top lists of everything. It was already on our best
Well,
mixed reality list.
and I'm gonna say I did not rank that list. Okay, and I very rarely do this, but I think we would probably both agree. I would probably say that and I know it's been around before 2024, but in 2024, if I had to say what my mixed reality app of the year was, it's going to be Figmin.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't mean to name App of the Year awards, but it's there for me on Vision Pro. Like, it's easily get it out this year, please, so that it can count as a 2024 release
Right.
rather than 2025 release. But it's such magic, and like this changes the conversation, Don. Like, if you can say to a family, you can actually go get two Quest 3S's for $600, and you and your kid can play Figmin XR together. You can build a space. It's a little bit like Minecraft. It's a little bit like Roblox, but it's built from the ground up for just wherever you are. You put two headsets in a bag. You've got hand tracking, and you can go and get a playground and a sandbox anywhere you are with your kid.
Yep.
That's a legitimate reason to get a VR headset.
It
That's a
is.
$600 price tag, is a real price tag. You can do this holiday season to have this experience. But here's where I get like the why I love, like, that's no brainer. Do it. Go join this journey. This is the moment. That's fantastic.
Yes. It's time.
But if you've got $3,500 to spare, and you want to see a little bit of the future on an Apple Vision Pro, you can also enjoy Figmin XR in that higher definition experience and get to creating with your kid. One of the things I did was I had my kid cast his view to my Mac, which was displayed on Mac Virtual Display here in front of me. So I was keeping it when I didn't want to play it. When I needed to work a little bit yesterday and go through entries for the showcase, I pulled up my Mac Virtual Display, and I had only a small part of the Mac Virtual Display showing the Oculus Quest's view over there. And then I clicked over into Figmin, and he was co-located, and it was magic, right? Like,
That's
I
so
just
cool.
described. We waited on. We knew this was coming. We've waited for it, and it's here, and it's exactly as magical as we dreamed about. And it just worked. It all worked. And so, like, you can have this for $600. You can have this for $4,000, and they're amazing experiences at both ends of the spectrum.
You can have it on Tilt 5 for even, I mean, even if you wanted to do that as a multiplayer option as well. I just wanted to bring that up as well. So
yeah. All right. Well, we've praised Figmin so much. We now need to leave off with a little tease for the showcase. So definitely tune into the showcase. It kind of we've got the VR download that David and I are going to need to pre-record this week, and probably we haven't talked scheduling, but I imagine we would put it up before all the festivities tomorrow, but we'll figure that out after this. And then kicking off some of the videos we've got Holiday Hideaway from Walkabout Mini Golf going up there when the course debuts. Highly recommend you go listen to the commentary track. Then right after that, we've got Zach with Vertigo 2 recapping his development journey. And it's just an absolute, I take such pride here in the work we do. We've now got to cover Figmin XR, which is just a beautiful project to see develop over time. We've got to see Walkabout Mini Golf in our showcase, another project we've got to see develop and improve over time. And then Vertigo, we've got Zach coming to our showcase with a new trailer, pouring his love and his heart and soul into all of these projects. All of these devs are pouring their whole being into what they've built in VR, and it feels so great to be able to put a spotlight on this market as it's maturing. These devs are getting better at what they're doing. They see the moments that we have in VR that are we feel safe and content and find joy that we couldn't find outside of the headset. Beautiful moments from all these devs. So thank you for the time all out in our audience. Be understanding of any devs that you maybe don't think is the hottest trailer out there. They did try their best, and we've got a nice little segment near the beginning of this show where I've put together a bunch of really, really cool trailers. We will have articles on everything on UploadVR.com as it comes out in that period after the holiday hideaway and Zach interview is out there. But hit the like button on those projects out there, become a subscriber, become a member or patron to support our work directly. We'd love to grow our team. We'd love to get more people covering the VR space. We don't have a very large team. We do a lot with a very, very small group. So Don is going to go get into Behemoth.
I am.
Stay tuned for us to lay down some words there on what we actually found when we got inside there. And then stay tuned to us for the showcase on Thursday.
Yeah.
We'll be back with VR Download. Hopefully we'll be back on a regular schedule next week. And then we're working towards Christmas, where we will invite millions of new VR owners into our
It's going to be so exciting.
Yep.
So exciting. Little game streaming on Friday too, by the way.
Sorry, Don. I'll get it into my spiel here eventually. All right. Thank you guys. We'll see you in the future.
Have a good week, guys.
Thank you, Beck.